Right, hello guys. Welcome to the December 2021 hangout with the International Force Rope Timeline. I say hangout, again this is being pre-recorded, but the next one maybe I will go live. I've just got a brand spanking new computer and the quality of video okay, you've got to look at my ugly man, but the quality of the video should be very much improved. I've just got over, well, I had the COVID injection on Saturday, last Saturday, and a very bad reaction to it. So I'm not in a sparkling good health. Never have been actually, but. I had something I was going to go over this this hangout, but there's so many news stories have come through and various rape-related things in the news that I think what I will do is I'll leave that that subject until the next time. I've got a couple of subjects lined up actually. So I'm going through these news stories in no particular order. Start off with Cosby. They won't leave the poor guy alone. As some of you may know, that the American entertainer, or maybe former entertainer, Bill Cosby, was the subject of an outrageous witch hunt. If you haven't watched it, check out my video, the prior bad acts of Gloria Allred, which explains the whole thing. He was convicted and given a sentence of, I think it was up to 10 years for this ludicrous so-called assault on Andrea Constand, his white lesbian friend, who was there. He was mentoring, yeah, sure. That was thrown out, I think it was earlier this year, by the Supreme. I think it was either Supreme Court or Supreme Court of Philadelphia, Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, either that or the American Supreme Court. And now the prosecutors are appealing it. Well, as soon as I heard the word alcohol in connection with that case, I mean, it's just so they're going to town on Cosby. Hopefully nothing will come of it. There's a rather strange case relating to China. Peng Shui, who is a world class. I used to follow tennis quite a lot actually in the Borg era, but I believe Peng Shui has won Wimbledon. She's a top class tennis player. She's about 35 now. And there's been a rather strange message appeared on the Chinese internet in which she claims she'd been sexually assaulted by a leading official who's some 40 years senior. I mean, don't sexually assault women, right? But don't sexually assault a woman 40 years her junior who is a top world-class sportswoman. No, I'm sorry, I don't believe that. I think she may have been, there's talk about coercion there, but there's coercion and there's coercion, isn't there? But it's a very strange story, and so many weird things have been happening in China over the past few years that it's difficult to know what to make of it. I certainly don't believe a lot of the other stories that come out of China about you've got this ludicrous Chinese Me Too movement now, which is, well, we saw what Me Too did in the West, and I don't think it'll be any better for China than it was for here. Next, we've got a story about by Tara Reade. As I said, in no particular order. For those of you who missed out on this mad woman, Tara Reade accused Joe Biden of, I suppose, of digitally penetrating her. At least it actually goes back quite a while. It goes back to the 1990s. She made a complaint of something of well, this is a story which is clearly really embellished. She was working for the Democratic leadership back in the 1990s. They got rid of her. Her mother phoned into a radio station. The recording is extant. And later years later she claimed that Biden had, well, it's quite quite bizarre. An online magazine looked into it. On the corridor where this was supposed to have happened, there's no alcove, and this woman is clearly bad news. And now she's been given there's an article on the RT. Tara Reade, how Time's Up became complicit in rape culture. No, rape culture doesn't exist. Neither does your sanity. She's a top. I mean, Biden is the most corrupt man ever to inhabit the White House, but no way did that incident happen. Here from the Sun newspaper. This is pedo miss. Disgraced teacher sobs as she's jailed for 2 years for having sex with girl pupil 16 and taking indecent pics. I never had a teacher like that. Strangely enough. But I don't know. It's she took the girl's virginity in the restaurant toilets. Oh no, well no, definitely not. Sorry, anyone who has sex in the toilet, no. The sexual grievance industry doesn't stop at men. Rape faker. Barrister who framed her lover for kidnapping and rape after learning he was married has a life sentence overturned. This is one of the most amazing cases. This is Anisa Ahmed. She's on the timeline, and she was also discussed. I also discussed her in a previous hangout, the hangout called Dark Blue Yonder. It's absolutely insane. She's on the front page of the Sun website. As far as websites have front pages, as far as newspaper websites have front pages. But I've also recently got hold of the judgment, the appeal judgment, which was appeal against sentence only, which was so it was partially successful. She's had the life sentence overturned, but she may actually end up doing more time than the life sentence, because it was a discretionary life sentence. It was, I think, a 4-year tariff. It's been overturned. Yeah, 4 years, 6 months and 10 days. I get that, but it's been replaced for a 10-year jail sentence and a lifelong restraining order. This woman is batshit crazy, totally gone. And I will. Well, I'll certainly be adding the judgment, which gives findings of fact, adding that to her dedicated page on the timeline over the next few days. But really, this is one. This, along with Rhiannon Brooker, that mad woman who stalked that psychiatrist, and a few others. This is one of the absolute worst cases of false rape allegations ever. I mean, and she roped in a former boyfriend as well. So it's really, I don't know. Right, here we have ooh la la. This is French. Investigation opened after former French Environment Minister accused of rape. That's one story. An earlier version, a related version somewhere, which says that the investigation has been closed. At least 6 women have accused ecologist Nicolas Hulot of actions ranging from sexual assaults to rape. 3 of them described actions in the November 25th France 2 France 2 programme Envoyé Spécial. This is historical stuff. one of the women spoke out against Hulot. Was just 16 when she says Hulot sexually assaulted her in 1989 after she participated in a radio show with him. These women are totally gone, totally gone. And there's another 2008 rape complaint against the former minister made by the granddaughter of French President François Mitterrand 11 years after she claimed Hulot raped her. 11 years. All is needed is a story, and perhaps a few tears. Absolute ludicrous. I did say no particular order, and that includes chronological order. I've got a story here from the May 19th, 1995 issue of Police Review. This is about, here it says, gender friendly. More males should be trained as rape victim liaison officers, says Sarah Curtis. No, absolutely no. Perhaps one of the most common, albeit understandable, misconceptions in rape cases is that female victims necessarily prefer to deal with a female investigating officer. Not so, according to many of the victims themselves. No. The policewoman was younger than my daughter. I found it very difficult to talk to her. Yeah, sure. There's a very good reason for this. That is the tendency of police officers to white knight. And there's a case here. Here we are. There are quite a lot of these articles, actually. This is PC Darren Thorne. Wiltshire police officer Darren Thorne has admitted having sexual relations with a vulnerable woman he met on duty and accessing confidential data about members of the public. This is from Wiltshire 999s.co.uk. I should give that the website more than once over. This was between June 2017 and June 2018. An inappropriate sexual relationship. The Thorne started with a vulnerable woman he met while on duty. They're always vulnerable, these women. He's been remanded on bail. So it seems what happened here was she probably asked him to do something for her, and he obliged, and now he's served his purpose. And she's stay away from these women, man. Stay away from them. They're toxic. These vulnerable to vulnerable to what? Vulnerable for whom? No. They're bad news. Any woman who comes in contact with the police, claiming to have been vulnerable, says she's vulnerable, they've got something wrong with them, most of them. Really, seriously. Any woman who claims to have been sexually abused or stalked, or whatever it's called, stay away from it. It's another bloke who's thrown away his career and a fat pension for a leg over, basically. If you've read any of my other writings, most of you will know that I'm no friend of the police, but this is ludicrous. Right, this isn't really a false rape allegation. This is a miscarriage of justice. A bloke was accused of raping author Alice Sebold in 1982. Spent, I think, 16 years in prison. And it's come out that there were identification problems. I'll add a bit of this to the timeline.
This court grants defendant's motion.
Tonight, tears of relief, nearly 40 years in the making.
I'm still crying with joy and relief right now today. I'm really overwhelmed. Words can't describe it.
Anthony Broadwater exonerated by a New York State Supreme Court judge this week at 61 years old, after spending most of his life paying for a crime he didn't commit.
With joy and relief, I went up to the gravesite to see my dad to tell him. I wish to God he was here.
Broadwater was 20 when he was charged with the rape of Alice Sebold, who went on to write bestseller The Lovely Bones. The alleged crime happened in 1981 at a park in Syracuse, New York. Sebold described the attack in detail almost 20 years later in Lucky, a book that launched her career as an author. Her next hit, The Lovely Bones, was later adapted into an award-winning film. But all this was after Broadwater was convicted for first-degree rape and 5 related charges. He spent 16 years in prison. Through the years, he maintained his innocence. After serving his sentence, he quickly realized his life would never be the same.
The moment I stepped out, it was like impossible to get a job. These 10 fingers I can count on my hand of the people that accept me in their household. I can't get past 10.
He never stopped trying through appeals, motions, and even 2 polygraph tests to prove his innocence, but nothing worked. Until a film producer working on a screen adaptation of Sebold's book Lucky hired a private investigator to look into the evidence presented against Broadwater in court. They became convinced Broadwater was telling the truth.
Together, as we looked through the trial transcript, we realized, wow, this was a bogus conviction.
Earlier this month, Broadwater's new lawyers filed a motion to vacate his conviction based on now discredited scientific evidence and Sebold's identification of Broadwater as the perpetrator.
No one questions that Miss Sebold was sexually assaulted. She absolutely was. But she saw Mr. Broadwater on the street about 5 months later, had a feeling this was the person who had raped her, and reported it to police.
She is asked to look at the individuals at some point in the lineup, and she picks out number 5. Anthony Broadwater was number 4.
Attorneys say they learned the next part of the story from Sebold's book, which they presented to the court as new evidence.
After that, the prosecutor walks in the room and begins to tell her, well, you picked the wrong guy, but essentially, don't worry, your hunch is correct. It actually is number 4.
Yes, as I said, that was a miscarriage of justice rather than a false rape allegation. Tragic all the same. There's a case here, say they cleared of 2 counts of raping woman on Dartmoor. This was November 10th, and this is Coventry Live. A Royal Navy sailor has been cleared of raping a woman after allegedly telling her she was boring when she rejected his advances and then attacking her in his car. I'm sorry, but I don't. These sort of cases, the woman voluntarily performed oral sex on him. He performed oral sex on her, and they could say, in a car on Dartmoor. No, don't be a cheapskate. Yeah, I mean, no, I've got no sympathy for these sort of cases. And there's another one here. Eureka Johnson. You'll find her on the timeline under the John Leslie case. This woman is. She's what, 54 now or something? Got 4 kids from 3 different men. Eureka Johnson on why her terrified teenage self still report date rape to cops. This was August, and there was she doesn't name John Leslie, but she still doesn't exonerate the poor bloke. This is from the Express. Daily Express Online, whatever. Eureka Johnson says she yearning to get drunk and have sex with handfuls of strangers. Shouldn't it be handful? I mean, just Well, obviously written by an illiterate. Eureka Johnson, 53, has revealed she's looking forward to being able to get out when lockdown ends and have sex with a handful of strangers, if she wants to. No, I'm sorry. What sympathy I might have had for this woman. She's, again, yeah. Don't judge a book by its cover. She looks very good for a woman of her age, but just, you see her coming, run a mile, just turn around and run. Right, this is a rather different sort of case. This is a conviction here, but it's an American sheriff named Jack Strain. He was up to his neck in corruption. For the usual financial reasons, and he was also accused of a number of historical offences of a homosexual nature going back to the 1990s. Now, the guy didn't take a stand, which they should always put a guy on a stand in a sex case, unless there's a very good reason for not doing so. But yeah, it may be that he's guilty of some of these offences. I don't know, but one of them I find difficult to credit. He was alleged to have, when he was 17 years old back in the 90s, he was alleged to have raped a 13-year-old boy in an elevator while they visited a dying relative. So him and his so-called victim were related. The logistics of this, I don't know. He said Strain annually raped him, causing tremendous pain in an elevator. I mean, I just don't know. They put an so-called expert witness on to some imbecile psychiatrist or whatever to explain why this wasn't, why this victim waited years and decades to report it, as they always do. The most obvious reason is that this incident didn't happen at the time. This works both ways, this sort of thing. Recently I made a video which you'll find on BitChute. It's called Rodney Reade, Murderer and Serial Rapist. Reade is a lowlife, a total lowlife. He's a serial rapist. He was on death row in Texas, and he raped and murdered a teenager named Stacey Stites. The evidence against him is absolutely overwhelming. That was in 1996. He should have been executed years ago, but the Innocence Project, if you can call it that, they've found, if not created, perjured witnesses. It's just absolutely outrageous. They've done it in another case as well, a non-sex case, a lowlife named Julius Jones. Julius Jones or Julius Johnson? It's Julius Jones, who murdered a man. He was a carjacker. He was only 19, but he was a career criminal and then some. He murdered this guy and stole his car in front of his kids. And the Innocence Project have been the lies. It came within hours of being executed. He was on death row in Oklahoma, and the governor of Oklahoma has commuted his sentence to life without parole. And airhead Kim Kardashian has been instrumental in both these cases. The historical cases, in a case of fresh allegations relating to years ago, accusing somebody of a rape years and decades ago, and in this case of claiming exculpatory evidence years and decades later. And what's so amazing about these two cases is that these dudes are so obviously guilty if you study the actual evidence, not what's in the media. I mean, Reade is a serial rapist, and his brother has gone on TV and in media saying that these are people have been making statements, these are all allegations. No, and they get a pass. You expect some democracy now, and that cunt Amy Goodman, but not from mainstream TV stations. No, it's absolutely outrageous. This is something you got to bear in mind with all these cases. I think Jack Strain, I think he may well be innocent of these sexual allegations. I don't know. There's another ludicrous case here. No charges for alleged sexual assault. T.I., who is a rapper or something, and Tiny, who is his woman, accused of drugging and sexually assaulting a woman in 2005. She made the allegation this year. I mean, these women are utterly pathetic, or just dishonest. Probably just dishonest in this case. I really don't know. I'm really, frankly, a loss of words at these cases. This guy's actually made an 8-minute plus video response, which is posted on Instagram. I will probably add a bit of it to the Full Shape Timeline at some point. He makes a very good point that this is an allegation which is made. The odious Gloria Allred used the same tactics against Cosby, and one of Trump's accusers, that woman E. Jean Carroll. The idea is to provoke, to target an individual, to provoke a response, and then sue for defamation because he called you a liar, maybe to get some sort of settlement, because legal actions can be extremely expensive for rappers or businessmen who've got deep pockets. And if this woman is indigent, the guy's not hiding to nothing. So I mean, they shouldn't give these allegations any publicity at all, in my humble opinion. And I'll close with mention of the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. This is underway in New York. My opinion of this is slightly different from most people's. Not that different from Gerardo. That's strange enough. Ghislaine Maxwell she's facing very heavy sentence. I mean, she's nearly as ancient as me, so if she's convicted, she won't see daylight again. They're like that in the United States with these trafficking cases. Lots of people Dan Bongino has covered this case, and he says that the media have been rather quiet about it. No, they haven't. It's completely wrong. Interestingly, the odious Virginia Giuffre isn't a witness. Well, I'm not surprised at all, actually. A, because this woman is an outrageous liar, and B, because from her own pronouncements, she should be in the dock with Ghislaine, because she has admitted to recruiting underage girls for Epstein, and she's been given a free pass by the media. Now, there's a lot of talk about this case about Epstein being maybe having connections with the Secret Service, with security services, and a large-scale blackmail operation. I'm rather dismissive of all these. I think basically this guy was just a, you know, I mean, he wasn't a billionaire, but certainly he was incredibly wealthy. I think it's just another case of, I mean, like Ivan Boesky or Ivan Kruger, the Match King. What was the other one? Ponzi. There are lots of, over the years, there have been lots of men who've made enormous sums of money by duping other people, incredibly wealthy men, and at times women. I think basically that was it. I don't think there's anything really sinister about his connections. I don't think he was protected at all. What if you look at this case? What was he accused of initially? What did he do? He was recruiting girls, slightly underage girls, 16, 15, maybe 14, to perform massages, which he shouldn't have done it. Okay, I mean that does warrant jail time. But the idea that these women are, as they are now, girls and women now, they're groomed. Well, you can call it groomed if you like, but their lives were destroyed, wrecked, and no, it's just complete garbage. If you look at the cases in Britain of the grooming gangs, there's just been another something like 43 people have just been charged in the north of England with historical offences related to grooming. If you look at what some of the we could call these girls victims, what they went through, some of them were mass raped by some, like that little slut, what was her name, Sammy Holloway. I mean, I get no sympathy at all for her. She made decisions. The Criminal Injuries Compensation Board said that she made conscious decisions. But some of these girls were sexually abused and then some. I mean, there have been allegations against Epstein. There was a woman appeared on TV the other day claiming that he'd actually raped her, physically raped her. Again, she isn't in court. Now, obviously, if he did actually forcibly rape any of these girls, have actual sex with them, he warranted heavy punishment. But I think the real reason was that the politicians people involved in this case took the view of that he was recruiting girls who were short of money. There was one, forget her name. She had a really hard life. She saw her, she saw her mother murdered by her mother's lover or something, or it was a family member who was murdered. It was in a documentary, Filthy Rich. I looked her up the case in Newsbank, and she was telling the truth. She was living in a trailer. They got these trailer parks all over America. It was mostly white trash, they call them, living in them. This is white privilege for you. White privilege indeed. And some of these girls did better themselves, or had a chance to better themselves, and he was paying them. In this collection, I noticed this case today, Mr. Justice Fulford. This is on similar lines of paedophiles This is something I've debunked. Other people have debunked. Actually, mentioned this on the timeline. In one of my hangouts. Lord Justice Fulford was involved with the National Council of Civil Liberties, to which paedophile information exchange was affiliated, but denies supporting groups' aims. I actually smeared Harriet Harman. I actually found myself defending Harriet Harman of all people. This was a paedophile information exchange. It was a group of homosexuals who wanted to basically do away with the age of consent so they could have sex with kids, and they affiliated to Liberty, or what it was called, what is now called Liberty. They got a lot of publicity at the time, and Harriet Harman was attacked and Patricia Hewitt was attacked. What actually happened was, I've said this before, that the government gave them enough rope and they duly hanged themselves. And these are ridiculous smears. The allegations against Ghislaine Maxwell and the late Jeffrey Epstein, they're not comparable to that. They weren't seeking out 8-year-olds and 10-year-olds to have sex with. Nothing like that. I think what happened was that the legal authorities, not the local sheriff, but not the police in Florida, but it's just, I'm still going over that reaction from the COVID injection. So forgive my it's also getting on for 1:30 a.m, which isn't late for me, but how can I put it? It was Palm Beach. The police in Palm Beach did a thorough job. They charged Epstein. I think what happened was that the lawyers, district attorney and the like, thought, well, what is this? This is a guy who's, he warranted punishment, but in Britain, what sort of sentence would Epstein have got in Britain? A lot less than 10 years. A lot less than 10 years. I can tell you that. just for the grooming, whatever you want to call it. Ghislaine Maxwell, maybe 5 years at the very most. But in America, they go over the top of this trafficking garbage. I've no doubt there is a substantial kernel of truth here. I'm not sure how much guilt pertains to. I'm not sure how guilty Maxwell is, or should be. But obviously, Epstein was doing things he shouldn't have been doing. But there are a lot of false allegations. Certainly, Guthrie has made false allegations. There's the idea that she was raped by Prince Andrew. I mean, this woman's the piss. But this is going on now. I expect there will be some sort of conviction. But from what I've seen in the case, I don't believe all this conspiratorial stuff about being Bill Clinton as well. I certainly don't believe Bill Clinton was having sex with 14-year-olds. It's ludicrous. And you can claim that they're being protected, but just watch the space. These cases are always very difficult because people even with the best will in the world, which there isn't a lot of the time, people's memories of things are change, and their culpability for their own culpability. I see things very differently. But there are a lot of false allegations here, but probably a lot of truthful ones as well. I don't believe. I mean, they try to rope in Trump, Bill Gates. The fact is that there aren't that many super rich, and they tend to know each other. Certainly those who move in financial circles and political circles. So it should, nobody should be surprised that Epstein rubbed shoulders with other with billionaires if he was getting on that way himself. I mean, who's he going to be associated with? Ordinary working people from Palm Beach? I doubt it very much. But I'll put this together because I've one other case I mentioned, the Groveland Four. The Groveland Four are now being officially exonerated. This is back in about 1949. I did look at this case years ago when I was setting up the timeline. I won't be adding it to the timeline. It may be in miscarriage of justice, but I don't necessarily think it was a false allegation. So anyway, I'll add this I'll edit this video and put it out next day or two. I've got nearly 5,500 entries on the timeline now. Not all rape, of course, and all sorts of things in there. But I want to get over 5,500 entries by Christmas. So please check out the False Rape timeline. If you've got any cases I've missed, especially any in foreign languages, please send me them. I've got people who do that from time to time, and I will hopefully the next one I do will be live, probably on Rumble rather than on YouTube. But I've got to mess around with probably download some special software. But I've got quite a lot of things to do at the moment unrelated to the False Rape timeline, and as I said, I'm not in total great health. So anyway, this is number 60. That's amazing, number 60.